Welcome back to Notre Dame Day. I'm Pete Byrne. Notre Dame Research is committed to discovering new solutions to both global and local issues. Faculty and students often partner with community organizations to advance research and projects that have real impacts right here in South Bend. Today we will learn about one community-based effort, the LEAD Innovation Project. I'm here now with Matt Sisk. Matt is the GIS librarian at the Hesburgh Library Center for Digital Scholarship and a principal investigator with the Notre Dame LEAD Innovation Team. Matt, welcome to Notre Dame Day. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Pete.
First, I got to start at the very beginning. We mentioned GIS, which stands for Geographic Information Systems. What is that?
Well, GIS is essentially mapping on a computer. It's really at its heart a complicated system for analyzing and displaying spatial information as part of a larger database. But if you've ever used your phone to find the nearest Starbucks or used your car to find all of the gas stations nearby, you've done a simple form of GIS, whether you realized it or not.
Yeah, I do it all the time. This sounds obviously very high-tech and data-driven. Why is GIS based in the Hesburgh Library?
That's a great question, and there's two main reasons. Well, the first is that we all think of a library as being a repository of physical stuff, books and journals and things like that. And while that is still a very important part of what we do as librarians, in the digital age we've also taken up being a place where people can learn about specific methods and analytical techniques, including lots of things that don't fit very well in a particular department, like text mining or some statistics or creating maps and analyzing spatial information. And that's the reason for the center that I work in the library, the Center for Digital Scholarship. We're a research and consulting service and a collaboration hub for faculty, students, and the broader community to use some of these techniques in their research and in community-driven projects. And the second main reason why something like GIS is in the library has to do with the fact that librarians are generally pretty good at organizing large amounts of information and making them accessible to a broad range of users. So we have something to contribute to a lot of big scientific projects, including the one that I'd like to talk about today, the Notre Dame LED Innovation Project.
And that's exactly where I think I wanted to take you down that road next, the ND LED Innovation Team. How did you put that together?
Well, around 18 months ago, the Reuters news agency published a report on the places in the country that might have a lead poisoning problem worse than that of Flint, Michigan. And South Bend made the top 10. So it's a major problem in our community. In fact, we have one area that has a rate of children with elevated lead levels significantly greater than that of Flint. So very soon after this report was published, community health workers, neighborhood organizations, researchers, concerned parents and families came together to see how we could best use our efforts to help with the problem in our community. And I joined quickly with several other Notre Dame faculty, including Heidi Beidinger and Michelle Nye from the Eck Institute for Global Health, Mario Lieberman from the Department of Chemistry, and Graham Peasley from the Department of Physics, to see how Notre Dame could help contribute to this. And we formed the Notre Dame LED Innovation Team to help marshal our efforts.
So you did your research and you found out that there is a lead problem in South Bend. It impacts families, it impacts children. What are the next steps for you now?
Well, essentially what we've found so far is that we've been looking to see where the patterns of lead risk are across the community and in individual houses. We've also been involved in looking at a data set of the blood tests on children over the past 10 years to look if there's any demographic, environmental, or seasonal patterns. What we've shown, or sort of confirmed, is that the problem we have in South Bend isn't associated with water the way it is in other communities. Instead, the lead risk that we have tends to be associated with the legacy of leaded gasoline in our community, some contaminated soils from industry, but overwhelmingly from deteriorating paint and aging housing stock across the area. From that, we've tested probably well over 1,000 different individual soil and dust samples from our community. We've done intensive studies of several dozen houses. All the quantitative stuff aside, we also have a goal moving forward of sort of rethinking how it is we look for lead poisoning. Right now, what happens is a doctor orders a child to have their blood tested. That blood test, if it comes back with a high result, the health department gets involved and goes and helps the family find out where the risk factors might be. It's pretty inefficient. Historically, a very small percentage of children in our community actually get tested. But even beyond the inefficiency, it's also kind of unethical. The brain damage that comes from lead poisoning, even at low levels, is permanent. So by the time we find out that a child has been affected, there may be permanent effects from it. So what we're going to work on this summer, and what we've worked on over the past few months, has been developing a citizen science model. So we will send test kits out to households. They will take dust, soil, and paint chip samples, send them back to Notre Dame. We analyze them here, and then send back targeted information about how they can reduce the risk for any children before they're affected.
All right. Well, Matt, I want to thank you for your time.
Yeah,
It's very important work that you're doing here, thank you for taking a few minutes to explain it to us here on Notre Dame Day.